out of a paper bag, but I was learning. I was an extra in a couple of romantic comedies. I had one line in a war picture, and why shouldn't he? That was the line. I played a nurse, taking care of wounded soldiers. The doctor in the scene playfully accused the other of flirting with me, and I said, and why shouldn't he? I said it like a child in fifth grade play, with a slight New York accent. Back then, so many of my words were accented. English, spoken like a New Yorker. Spanish, spoken like an American. When the movie came out, Ernie and I went to see it. Ernie thought it was funny, his little wife, with a little line in a movie. I had never made much money before, and now I was making as much as Ernie after it was promoted to Key Grip. So I asked him if I could pay for acting classes. I made him a arroz con polo that night, and I specifically didn't take my apron off when I brought it to him. I brought it up. I wanted me to see I wanted him to see me as harmless and domestic. I thought I'd get further if I didn't threaten him. It grated on my nerves to have to ask him how I could spend my own money, but I didn't see another choice. Sure, he said. I think it's a smart thing to do. You'll get better, and who knows, you might even star in a picture one day. I would star. I want to punch his lights out. But I've since come to understand that it wasn't Ernie's fault. None of it was Ernie's fault. I told him I was someone else, and then I started getting angry that he couldn't see who I really was. 6 months later, I could even deliver a line with sincerity. I wasn't great by any means, but I was good enough. I'd been in three more movies, and they all day player roles. I'd heard there was a part open to play Stu Cooper's teenage daughter in a romantic comedy, and I decided I wanted it. So I did something that not many other actresses at my level would have, and had the guts to do. I knocked on Harry's Cameron's door. Evelyn, he said, surprised to see me. To what do I owe the pleasure? I want the Caroline part. I said, in love isn't all. Harry motioned for me to sit down. He was handsome for an executive. Most producers around the lot were round, a lot of them losing their hair, but Harry was tall and slim. He was young. I suppose he didn't even have a decade on me. He wore suits that fit him nicely and always complimented his nice. He wore suits that fit him nicely and always complimented his blue eyes. There was something vaguely Midwestern about him. Not so much in how he looked, but in the way he approached people, with kindness first, then strength. Harry was one purposes. Same difference. It was not the same difference, but I saw absolutely no merit in trying to explain that to him. Okay, I said. Then how about the movie with Gary Dupont? You can't play a romantic lead with Gary Dupont. Why not? Harry looked at me as if to ask if I was really going to make him say it because I am Mexican. I asked because the movie with Gary Dupont needs a nice blonde girl. I can be a nice blonde girl. Harry looked at me. I tried harder. I wanted Harry, and you know I can do it. I'm one of the most interesting girls you guys have right now. Harry laughed. You're bold. I'll give you that. Harry's secretary knocked at the door. I'm sorry to interrupt, but Mr. Cameron, you need to be in Burbank at 1. Harry looked at his watch. I made one last plea. Think about it, Harry. I'm good, and I can be even better, but you're wasting me in these small roles. We know what we're doing, he said, standing up. I stood up with him. Where do you see my career a year from now, Harry? Playing a teacher with 3 lines. Harry walked past me and opened his door, ushering me out. We'll see, he said. Having lost the battle, I resolved to win the war. So, next time I saw Harry Sullivan at the studio dining hall, I dropped my purse in front of him and accidentally gave him an eyeful as I bent down to pick it up. He made eye contact with me, and then I walked away, as if I wanted nothing from him, as if I had no idea who he was. A week later, I pretended I was lost in the executive offices and ran into him in the hallway. He was a portly guy, but it was weight that suited him. He had eyes that were so dark brown, it was hard to make out the irises and the kind of 5 o'clock shadow that was permanent. But he had a pretty smile, and that was what I focused on. Mrs. Diaz, he said. I was both surprised and not surprised to find out that he had learned my name. Mr. Sullivan, please call me Ari. Well, hello, Ari, I said, grazing my hand on his arm. I was 17. He was 48. That night, after his secretary left for the day, I was laid across his desk, with my skirt around my hips and Ari's face between my legs. It turned out Ari had a fetish for orally pleasing underage girls. After about 7 minutes of it, I pretended to erupt in reckless pleasure. I couldn't tell you whether it was any good, but I was happy to be there, because I knew it was going to get me what I wanted. If a definition of enjoying sex means that it was pleasurable, then I've had a lot of sex, that I didn't enjoy. But if we're defining it as being happy to have made that the trade, then, well, I haven't had as much. I hated. When I left, I saw the row of Oscars that Harry had sitting in his office. I told myself that one day I'll get one too. Love Isn't All and the Gary Dupont movie I'd wanted came out within a week of each other. Love Isn't All tanked, and Penelope Quills, the woman who got in the part I wanted opposite Gary, got terrible reviews. I cut out a review of Penelope and sent it by inter-office mail to Harry and Eddie with a note that said I would have knocked it out of the park. The next morning, I had a note from Harry in my trailer. Okay, you win. Harry called me into his office and told me that he had to discuss with Ari, and they had 2 potential roles for me. I could play an Italian heiress in the 4th lead in a war romance, or I could play Jo in Little Women. I knew what it meant playing Jo. I knew Jo was a white woman, and still I wanted it. I hadn't gotten on my back just to take a baby step. Jo, I said, give me Jo. And in so doing, I set the star machine in motion. Harry introduced me to studio stylist Gwendolyn Peters. Gwen bleached my hair and cut it into a shoulder-length bob. We shaped my eyebrows so she plucked my widow's peak. I met with the nutritionist who made me lose 6 pounds exactly, mostly by taking up smoking and replacing some meals with cabbage soup. I met with an electrocutionist who got rid of the new elocutionist. Oh God. I met with an elocutionist who got rid of the New York in my English, who banished the Spanish entirely. And then, of course, there was a 3-page questionnaire I had to fill about my life. Until then, what did my father do for a living? What did I like to do in my spare time? Did I have any pets? When I turned in my honest answer, the researcher read it in one sitting and said, "Oh, no, this won't do at all. From now on, your mother died of an accident, leaving your father to raise you. He worked as a builder in Manhattan, and on weekends during the summer he'd take you to Coney Island. If anyone asked, you love tennis and swimming, and you have a St. Bernard named Roger." I said for at least 100 publicity photos. Me with my new blonde hair, my trimmer figure, my wider teeth. You wouldn't believe the things they made me model. Smiling at the beach, playing golf, running down the street, being tugged by a St. Bernard that someone borrowed from a set decorator. There was photos of me salting a grapefruit, shooting a bow and arrow, getting on a fake airplane. Don't even get me started on the holiday photos. It would be a sweltering hot September day, and I'd be sitting there in a red velvet dress next to a fully lit Christmas tree, pretending to open a box that contained a brand new baby kitten. The wardrobe people were consistent and militant about how I was dressed, per Henry Cameron's orders, and that look always included tight sweaters buttoned up just right. I wasn't blessed with an hourglass figure. My ass might as well have been flat as a wall. You couldn't hang a picture on it. It was my chest that kept men interested, and women admired my face. To be honest, I'm not sure when I figured out the exact angle we were all going for, but it was sometime during those weeks of photo shoots that it hit me. I was being designed to be two opposing things. A complicated image that was hard to dissect, but easy to grab onto. I was supposed to be both naive and erotic. It was as if I was too wholesome to understand the unwholesome thoughts you were having about me. It was bullshit, of course, but it was an easy act to put on. Sometimes I think the difference between an actress and a star is that the star feels comfortable being the very thing the world wants her to be. And I felt comfortable appearing both innocent and suggestive. When the pictures got developed, Harry Cameron pulled me into his office. I knew that he wanted to talk about what he wanted to talk about. I knew there was one remaining piece that needed to be put in place. "What about Amelia Dawn? There was an eye ring to it, doesn't it?" he said. And the two of us were sitting in his office. Him at his desk, me in a chair. I thought about it. How about something with the initials E.H.? I asked. I wanted to get something as close to the name of my mom, to the name my mother gave me, Evelyn Herrera, as I could. Ellen Hennessy. He shook his head. "No, too stuffy." I looked at him and sold him the line I'd come up with the night before, as if I just thought about it. "What about Evelyn Hugo?" Harry smiled. "Sounds French," he said. "I like it." I stood up. There's one more thing, he said. I read your answers to the interview question. He looked at me directly. Adi is very happy with the changes you've made. He thinks you have a lot of potential. The studio thinks it could be a good idea if you went on a few dates, if you were seen around town with some of the guys like Pete Greer and Brake Thomas, maybe even Tom Adler. Tom Adler was the hottest actor at Sunset. His parents, Mary and Roger Adler, were two of the biggest stars of the 1930s. He was Hollywood royalty. Is it going to be a problem? He wasn't going to mention Ernie directly because he knew he didn't have to. No, not a problem, I said. Not at all. Harry nodded. He handed me a business card. Call Benny Morris. He's a lawyer over in the bungalow. Handed Ruby Riley's annulment from McGreg's. He'll help you straighten it out. I went home, told Ernie I was leaving him. He cried for 6 hours straight, and then, in the wee hours of the night, as I lay beside him in bed, he said, Bien, if that is what you want. The studio gave him a payout and left him a heartfelt letter. I left him a heartfelt letter telling him how much it hurt me to leave him. It wasn't true, but I felt I owed it to him to finish out the marriage as I'd started it, pretending to love him. I'm not proud of what I did to him. It didn't feel casual to me the way I hurt him. It didn't then, and it doesn't now. But I also know how badly I'd needed to leave Hell's Kitchen. I know what it feels like to not want your father to look at you too closely, lest he describes he hates you and hits you or decides he loves you a little too much. And I know what it feels like to see your future ahead of you. The husband who's really just a new version of your father, surrendering to him in bed when it's the last thing you want to do, making only biscuits and canned corn for dinner because you don't have money for meat. So, how can I condemn the 14-year-old girl who did whatever she could to get herself out of town? And how can I judge the 18-year-old who got herself out of that marriage once it was safe to do so? Ernie ended up remarried to a woman named Betty, who gave him 8 children. I believe he died in the early 90s, a grandfather many times over. He used the payoff from the studio to put down a payment on a house in Mar Vista, not far from the Fox lot. I never heard from him again. So, if you're going by the metric that all is well that ends well, I guess it's safe to say that I'm not sorry. Evelyn, Grace said as she comes into my room, you have dinner with Ronnie Beeman in an hour. I just wanted to remind you. All right, Evelyn said. Thank you. She turned to me. Once Grace left, how about we pick up tomorrow, same time? Yeah, that's fine, I say, starting to gather my things. My left leg has fallen asleep, and I tap it gently against the hardwood to try to wake it up. How do you think it's going so far? Evelyn asks, as she gets up to walk me out. You can make a story out of it. I can do anything, I said. Evelyn laughs and said, good girl. How are things? My mom asked the moment I pick up the phone. She says things, but I know she means how's your life without David? Fine, I say as I set my bag on the couch and walk towards the refrigerator. My mother cautioned me early on that David might not be the best man for me. said she didn't see it. I told her she didn't need to see it, that I felt it, but her question stuck in my head. Sometimes it was a whisper, other times it echoed loudly. When I called to tell her we got engaged, a little more than a year later, I was hoping my mother could see how kind he was, how seamlessly he fit into my life. He made things feel effortless, and in those days, that seemed so valuable, so rare. Still, I worried that she would air her concerns again, that she would say I was making a mistake. She didn't. In fact, she was nothing but supportive. Now I wonder if that was more out of respect than approval. I've been thinking, my mom says, as I opened the refrigerator door. Or I should say, I've hatched a plan. I grab a bottle of Pellegrino, the plastic basket of cherry tomatoes, and the watery tub of burrata cheese. Oh no, I say. What have you done? My mom laughs. She's always had such a great laugh. It's very carefree, very young. Mine is inconsistent. Sometimes it's loud. Sometimes it's wheezy. Other times I sound like an old man. David used to say that he thought my old man laugh was one of the most genuine because no one in the right mind would sound like that. No, I'm saying, I'm trying to remember the last time it happened. I haven't done anything yet, my mom said. It's still in the idea phase, but I was thinking I want to come visit. I don't say anything for a moment, weighing the pros and cons as I chew the massive chunk of cheese I put in my mouth. Con, she will critique every single outfit I wear in her presence. Pro, she'll make macaroni and cheese and coconut coke. Con, she will ask me if I'm okay every 3 seconds. Pro, for at least a few days. When I come home, this apartment will not be empty. I swallow. Okay, I say finally. Great idea. I can take you to a show maybe. Oh, thank goodness, she says. I already booked the ticket. Mom, I say, groaning. What? I could have cancelled it if you'd said no, but you didn't. So great. I'll be there in about 2 weeks. That works, right? I knew this was going to happen as soon as my mom partially retired from teaching last year. She spent decades as the head of the science department at a private high school. And the moment she told me she was stepping down and only teaching 2 classes, I knew that extra time and attention would have gone somewhere. Somewhere. Yeah, that works, I say, as I cut up the tomatoes and pour olive oil on them. I just want to make sure you're okay. My mom says, I want to be there. You shouldn't. I know, Mom, I say, cutting her off. I know, I get it. Thank you for coming. It will be fun. It won't be fun necessarily, but it will be good. It's like going to a party when you've had a bad day. You don't want to go, but you know you should. You know that even if you don't enjoy it, it will do you good to get out of the hole. Did you get the package I sent? He says. The package? With your dad's photos? Oh, no, I said. I didn't. We are quiet for a moment, and then my mom gets exasperated by my silence. For heaven's sakes, I've been waiting for you to bring it up, but I can't wait any longer. How's it going with Evelyn Hugo? She says. I'm dying to know, and you're not offering anything. I pour my Pellegrino and tell her that Evelyn is somehow both forthright and hard to read. And then I tell her that she isn't giving me the story for five and that she wants me to write a book. I'm confused, my mom says. She wants you to write her biography. Yeah, I say. And as exciting as it is, there are some things weird about it. I mean, I don't think she ever considered doing a piece for Vivant at all. I think I think she was. I trail off because I haven't figured out exactly what it is I'm trying to say. What? I think about it more. Using Vivant to get to me. I don't quite know, but Evelyn is very calculating. She's up to something. Well, I'm not surprised she wants you. You're talented. You're bright. I find myself rolling my eye at my mother's predictability, but I do still appreciate it. No, I know, Mom. But there's another layer here. I'm convinced of it. That sounds ominous. I guess so. Should I be worried? But Mom asks, I mean, are you worried? I thought about it in such different terms, but I suppose my answer is no. I think I'm too intrigued to be worried, I say. Well then, just make sure you share the real juicy stuff with your mother. I did not suffer through 22-hour labor for you. I deserve it. I laugh, and it comes out just a little bit like an old man. Alright, I say. I promise. Okay, Evelyn says. Are we ready? She's back in her seat. I'm in my spot. At the desk. Grace has brought us a tray